Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Ghetto.
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Or until one of us swims and just finds
Keeps on
Atlantis,
swimming.
you know? Yeah, I wanted to say keep on swimming, but to me that sounded negative.
No, why? You mean it's a little bit
I
like,
don't know
like
how.
Aquaman, I suppose, right? Just
I
keep
guess.
on going. Just keep on
Just-
going, you know?
I guess.
If you are new to Gettle, welcome to one of the internet's best repositories for everything related to gaming, entertainment, technology, and lifestyle, news, reviews, and previews, all wrapped up in a wonderful, geeky...
Lemon tree.
Okay, I mean, when life gives you lemons, you make
You
lemonade.
bouldered lemon tree.
All right. If you are one of our regular listeners, welcome back. It is good to have you. If you're new, we
So-
hope you enjoy. Edward, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually quite good. Tired, but good.
Are
What about
you? Are you good?
Yeah, my nose has been a mess this morning, but that's it. Otherwise, I've been great. My shoulder are falling apart apparently, but
Okay,
that's getting better.
that's
So,
good. So
yeah.
I was perfectly fine until I decided to wash my face this morning. And
Naturally.
then my SI muscle and my left side of my back decided to go, hey, what's up?
hey, yeah, of
So
course.
I've already been to the chiropractor this morning and I'm feeling substantially better. So let's hope that it eases off as the weekend progresses.
Yeah. Let's hope it does.
So before we begin this week's episode, this message that we're about to discuss, before we even get to our weekly question and all of the wonderful, phenomenal, and delicious content that we have, which this week has to do with quantum mechanics, quantum physics, dogs and sex lives, and so much more. We just want to speak a little bit about Gettle. So we've been doing this for 68 episodes now, all right? We're in season 2, episode 26.
Yeah.
So 68 episodes is a lot in the
Mhm.
last, year and a half of doing this.
Pretty much.
And as much as we've been enjoying it, and we really have on a weekly basis, I myself in particular have found, and I think Edward will agree with me on this one, that it can be very challenging to procure content on a weekly basis that is not only interesting, but also unique. Because for our long-term listeners, you'll know we purposefully stay clear from news-related content purely because we feel news is dated and we don't really want Gettle to be dated. So, with that in mind, it's made it progressively difficult because when we become, or when we are more busier, specifically with work or things related to work or even family, we often don't have the time to really find that kind of incredible content. So Gettle initially was built on the fact that we would often be looking for stuff anyway, whether you're browsing Reddit or whatever the case is, and we find cool stuff, we'll put it together. Or if we're reviewing cool games or watching movies or whatever the case is, and then we put it together. And for the last 68 episodes, it's worked fairly well. But we have been quite strained by it, unfortunately. It's become less of a fun thing of the points that we're finding to more of a, oh, damn, we need more points.
We need to scramble.
Yeah, we need to scramble. And generally this hasn't been an issue, but recently we've been significantly more busy. And so it's been posing to be a bit of a challenge. Now, it's not to say that Gettle is ending or we're changing our schedule or anything like that, but more along the lines of we're going to slowly, over the next few weeks, change our focus a bit. So, whereby we used to talk about, and I mean like every episode had something gaming, something entertainment, something technology, something lifestyle related. We still want to try and keep that, but what we're going to rather do is instead of trying to just get point after point after point of original, unique content that is somewhat timeless, we're going to slowly morph more towards what we've been doing recently, whereby we have these questions of the week, which interestingly enough, Edward and I have been enjoying thoroughly. It's I'll be honest, it's my highlight every week when we do get on.
Yeah.
You know,
the discussions that come from that, usually it kind of spurs on the episode, I guess.
Yes. And you
yeah.
know, so Edward and I have behind the scenes, we've been discussing it. We thought, you know what, we'll actually bring the discussion to all of you because we feel it's fair that you all, you know, you can hear it as well. We just felt that is what we really wanted Get Ill to be about, whereby it's two friends talking about something out of curiosity or interest, and then what comes from that, whether it was weekly experiences and so on and so forth. And so essentially what I'm getting at is it feels that along the way we somehow lost a little bit of that magic, and we kind of became quite formulaic in our content.
Yeah.
You know, meaning that, oh no, we had to have an NSFW section. No, we had to get something from like entertainment, and we had, if you get what I'm saying. And personally for me, that's killed my enjoyment a little bit. I've been feeling the strain over the last couple of weeks, and I've, you know, privately spoken to Edward about it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to get back that magic a little bit. So in the next few weeks, you'll still have a lot of luscious content. That's not really going anywhere per se, but it'll be a little bit more, I don't want to say less research, because that's not what I'm getting at here. It's more along the lines of something that's happened in the last week or two, or maybe something else that we have that is burning at us that we want to speak about. We're going to go more along that. So you're going to really hear two friends talking about things, and wherever those conversations may lead us, whether it's NSFW or just lame F, it's going to be here in Get Ill.
Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to curb on censoring the digressing. We're gonna let the conversation just flow, and if that's the only topic we speak about, it's the only topic we speak about at the end of the day.
That's
so it might be more focused and concise, I guess, in a way, but it might also not be.
Oh goodness,
it might go in
it could be even more varied than in the past.
Exactly.
Okay,
So,
well, with that in mind, and now slowly putting it to pasture, we do look forward to you continuing to listening with us and being with us and interacting. And so we're going to go straight into the question of the week. Edward.
Yeah.
So to those of you who listen and watch, think about what we're about to ask and then tell us your answer. As per normal, whether you DM us or write it down in the comments below. Actually, out of curiosity, for those of you who do listen, would you like us to possibly, maybe every now and again, read out what some people have answered? What we'll do is, if that's something you're okay with, when you do DM us, let us know. Because right now, what we do is we don't speak about it in the next week because we feel, you know, you've DM'd us in confidence, I suppose. Or unless, of course, you've written it publicly on one of our walls. But anyway, that aside. So, Edward.
Yeah.
If you could use a time machine, and you know I love time travel, right? So this is such a great question. Would you rather have one that goes back in time or only goes forward?
And it must be one out of two.
So we can look. I guess we could lay a little bit of groundwork to this. So let's assume that the question is as is, meaning that it can either only go forward and you can only go back, which therefore means you cannot return to your present day self. So like if you went back 10 years, you'd be back 10 years. You can't like come back forward 10 years. If you get what I'm saying.
I would go back. I think if I can go, even if it's little steps, I would rather go back than forwards. Now, the question is, the follow-up question to that is then, would I replace myself in the past or would I create a copy of myself in the past?
You see, now this is where the intricacies of time travel come into play, and which version of time travel or multiverse theory do you subscribe to? So there's the one where if you let's say you made this choice. Your choice is to go back in time and you go back 20 years, right? There's one belief whereby you going back 20 years from the future was always meant to happen, meaning you can actually therefore never change the past.
Yeah.
And then of course
Yeah,
you must stay away from yourself because you can't have two of the same like the same atoms can't meet or something to that effect, otherwise they destroy each other, right? That's basically the whole thing.
That's another
The
branch of
temporal
the
paradox.
theory,
So like if you meet yourself, you then cease to exist.
Yeah.
Now you see that's also interesting in itself, because if you did go back in time and then made yourself cease to exist, well then therefore I suppose that would then just eradicate that entire timeline. But then if we believe in the multiverse theory, then that would just be another new multiverse. So what if actually, I know the question was specifically time travel, but what if every time we use time travel without realizing it was actually a new multiverse we were traveling to? Do you know what I mean?
I dig that. See, I ascribe to the theory that is present in like Harry Potter with I forgot the movie number 4, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
Where Hermione has the time turner and they go back and they don't replace themselves. And basically the events still happen. All the events are always meant to happen. They don't change.
Yes.
But because of their actions, because of the future Hermione's actions after she time traveled back, current Hermione managed to get past the obstacle or whatever. I ascribe to that theory where you don't replace yourself and where it's the same timeline and everything is always meant to happen. But obviously there's a bunch of loopholes, not loopholes. Plot holes, I guess, in
questions, because
yes,
we've no one's developed time travel yet, so
exactly
we don't know.
And if they have, we wouldn't know.
Well, wouldn't we know? You see, so like this is the whole thing. Okay, so before we get to me, this is just a wonderful conversation we're having now. I'm convinced it's already happened. I'm convinced that
for sure
that Trump becoming president was like the big change that no one saw, and it just happened. But now I have to wonder, was that really a time travel event, or is this just the multiverse, that one part of the multiverse we just happen to be in, and that our path diverged on some level? Do you know what I mean?
Could be both. Because just because the multiverse exists doesn't mean time travel doesn't either.
Yeah.
So
spot on.
It could be that in our version of the multiverse, it was a botched time travel incident that caused Trump to win, or a successful one, or just because, or it could be our multiverse where it happens anyway, and time travel doesn't exist yet. So see, there's many branching paths.
So that's even more curious now. So now we're talking about multiverses now. We were sort of bringing that in a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that time and physics as a whole, in terms of the rules, are the same across multiverses? Or do you think certain multiverses could have different physics?
See, honestly, I would think most multiverses would be similar, or at least not indifferent.
Or not so wholly different, like the core basics would be the same, basically.
Exactly. But that reminds me of a question that Edie poses in Mass Effect 3, where she goes, in our universe. Now she doesn't believe in the multiverse thing, but in our galaxy, essentially, is what she means. She poses the question of, we have 2 + 2 = 4, but that the fact that exists essentially already prescribes the fact that 2 + 2 = 3 exists somewhere else. I forgot what you call that, but just because it exists automatically prescribes the fact that not the opposite, but something similar exists elsewhere.
That's awesome. So there is credence to this then?
Yes, I believe so. I believe there. I forgot what it's called. I when I obsess over something, I research the hell out of it. And I back then I read all about it, and it's super intriguing. So yeah, I think you've got a lot of credence. I do think it would be similar though, not entirely different. No.
Yeah. So you see, so I mean, this sort of. So, have you watched Loki yet? Marvel's Loki.
Actually, no. I wanted to last week, and we never got to it.
So they don't deal with time travel in the show, but they do deal with the timeline, a central timeline governed by these beings, and this timeline is managed in such a way that things always happen in a certain way. However, there are, as you get to the end of the show, there's a realization that there is a multiverse, and that because there's a multiverse, there are different versions of every character. So there could be a female me in another multiverse, or a crocodile me, or a toad me, or a dinosaur me. Can we just can we like
in the universe where dinosaurs never
don't go extinct and they evolved?
Yeah. There's a Hansasaurus walking around.
Hansoraptor. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, with that in mind, I assume people who've been listening to the podcast for a while would probably think that I would also choose to go back. But I think I would actually choose to go forward.
Why?
Because I'm thinking more along the lines of the possibilities of what's ahead. So what I mean by that is, imagine, okay, so right now the future of the planet is dire. So maybe going forward is not the greatest idea in the world. But who knows, maybe somewhere along the way something good happens and we don't all end up dying because of climate change. But anyway, think about this for an example. Let's say I go and I buy Bitcoin, and then I decide to jump forward 5 years. Now, all of a sudden, I'm infinitely richer because Bitcoin has done so well.
Well, you aren't.
But
Future
I'm not.
you is.
I'm not, yeah. So,
but. Sorry, Hans.
No, but
if you ascribe to the same theory that I do,
yes,
going forwards in time you wouldn't exist.
I wouldn't exist because I went forward. Exactly. Yes. So there is no future me to bump into, because future me can only be me because I'm jumping forward.
I see.
Do you see what I'm saying? So I mean, that opens up a whole host of possibilities. So what I would probably end up doing. Look, the only downside with jumping ahead is, there's you can't tell what's ahead. So the nice thing with jumping back is what happened in your lived multiverse, in your lived universe history. What's happened along the way. So you could go back 40 years and join Apple in America.
Essentially, yeah, buy all the Apple shares before.
Well, it wouldn't help you though for the future. It might help your children if you pass them down somewhere along the way, if you had already.
Hey, I wouldn't mind.
Anyway, so going forward, it opens its whole own, can of worms and things, But imagine this. Imagine jumping forward 2 years and COVID's over. Or I guess you come out and
worse,
it never went away and now there's like a new variant.
You jump ahead and suddenly it's a civil war or some shit where the vaccinated fights the unvaccinated in this all-out war.
Oh gosh, and there's a vax tax and
the vax tax. I love that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think forward would be cool. I think it would also maybe be a little bit lonely because if you did move forward in time, you don't know what's happened to the people who were left behind, and then also what happened in those years while you were not there. So for you, it'll feel like an instant, but for everybody else, it's not.
The blip.
Yes.
First the snap and then the blip.
Yes.
Those, and you see all those repercussions apparently in the What If upcoming show.
But the thing is, at least those would only be for you, though. It would be for one single person versus being millions and millions of people across the globe.
Yes.
So at least I suppose that's all right, in a way.
In a way.
I don't know. I love time travel. I just think it's. I mean, look. Ideally, you'd want to go forwards and back, right? That's ideally what we want to do. But I mean, if we had to pick, I really think I would go forward, probably to my own detriment.
Probably. Well, you'd be declared dead, I guess, missing in action 2 weeks after you jumped.
I mean, if you could give all your, like, let's say, like, give it to, like, my parents or a close friend like you, for example, and I give you all my passwords and everything, so you can just make it look like I'm still around.
Just post it on Twitter every
Did
once
you know what I'm saying?
in a
So,
blue
so no
moon.
one ever really queries what's happened to me, and then just like 2 years later, like boom, hey, I'm back. Is the world better or worse? You know?
But see, in those 2 years, I would have grown like a mega man beard and become both Edward Swart and Hans Haupt. And then I'll be fighting you because now
Oh,
you're
no.
taking back what I built
No.
in these last 2 years.
No. Okay, this is just bad idea. All right.
It's my empire now.
Yeah, exactly.
Your parents love me.
Now, look, I know we're talking about time travel and time and so on. Are you aware of Google's time crystal?
No.
Okay, so this was just a very
No.
cool thing that I came about, and it's quite, I don't want to say difficult to explain or to understand, but it has to do with quantum computing. And so what Google, in the conjunction with NASA and a whole bevy of other really high top tier companies, they've developed what they legitimately call time crystals. And the reason for this is because it's actually this new form of matter that they've created out of seemingly nothing. It defies two main laws of physics. So the first one is it goes completely against Isaac Newton's first law of motion, meaning, anything that moves and can move will eventually stop because of friction. Like it'll slow down and eventually come to a halt. Okay. The time crystal never does. It never stops. It actually doesn't use energy to move. It's really quite fascinating. And the second law of physics that it actually destroys is actually a law of thermodynamics, and that has to do with the fact that, with disorder or entropy, that will always increase to the point that whatever it is will be destroyed. So in other words, if something heats up, it'll heat up until it essentially blows up or breaks or gets destroyed. That's why we have like cooling in computers and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
This time crystal generates zero heat. Or something. Okay, it might not be heat per se, but it rather what I'm trying to get at is that its disorder is predictable, and because its disorder is predictable, it thwarts this other law of thermodynamics. Now,
that's cool.
There's a whole lot that they speak about, and they go very in depth into what it is and what it does, and it's incredibly exciting because one of the potential outcomes of this, because it doesn't use energy, is like unlimited processing power. Unlimited processing power that doesn't require energy.
So,
well, I mean, energy in the traditional sense of like electricity powering a chip. Now, there is still an energy need in the sense of that these things are built in enclosures and to keep them at like certain temperatures and certain pressures and so on and so forth. So there's the energy for there, but the time crystal itself doesn't require energy to actually function, which in itself it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, Edward.
Yeah.
And
are they using it?
Well, this is the thing. So they want to now use these for quantum computing, for qubits, for quantum computing processes, because as you know, currently with binary code and processors, everything is either on or off, and that's how everything's coded, right? That's how processors and CPUs and everything work at the moment. With quantum computing, it's wholly different. It's no longer ones and zeros. It's like everything to do with everything from every angle at once.
Jeez.
So it's absolutely incredible. I'm definitely going to link to it below versus trying to explain it any further, because it's one of those things that's difficult to explain unless you really know it very well. And I don't know it very well. I've just read like an article about it. So, by all means, go ahead and read it. But imagine the possibilities though. Like imagine, like my mind is automatically really going to like, imagine they're able to create like a portable compression chamber that's the size of like an Apple Watch. And it has this time crystal in it that doesn't require energy to function. You can process data. That's like unlimited, wearables that can just work all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Just no more batteries.
Well, at least that's what I think. I mean, I stand to be corrected, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
So it's just really cool.
That's super cool, actually.
Almost as cool,
Yeah.
or actually just as cool as Vamers' new look.
Yes. So honestly, I didn't even know you were doing this in the background. So I just kind of woke up and then went to work and found that the site was either non-responsive or giving me 503s. So I was like, okay. I usually when this happens, Hans is busy updating stuff. So I just went and worked offline. And then the next day I woke up and Vamers was pitch black. And it was beautiful. And it's honestly so good. We have a dark mode now. Well, it is perpetually dark, I believe. I haven't seen a toggle.
Yes, it
but
is.
it's
There is no
beautiful.
toggle.
Okay, so it's a beautiful dark with like these gradient colors, and I'm all into colors. I'm looking for my phone, but I'm recording on my phone, which all the colors on my phone is always gradients. I love it.
Yeah, all the different
and
the logos.
it's so beautiful. And yeah, Vamers got a new look, and I believe it was a pain in the ass.
It was
to do,
not
Hans.
intentional. Okay, let's just say that, like, if you have to look at our Google Analytics, you'll see that just somewhere on the 1st of August, all our traffic just died. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August, it's just dead. What I didn't realize, even though I check the site all the time, is that our theme had completely broken. It's because it's a WordPress website. And apparently some update went wrong somewhere and there was a conflict, something. And I then, when I saw what was going on, because I saw the dip, I thought, well, let me see if I can try and fix it. And that just, it killed it. It literally killed the website. So I spent pretty much the whole of, I think it was Wednesday. Yes, the whole of like
Wednesday,
late Tuesday, or rather the whole of the. And when I say the whole of Wednesday, I mean the whole of Wednesday. Rebuilding, reformatting, rechanging the site to get it back up to spec. I actually spent the whole of Thursday doing it as well. Before this was recorded, obviously, just because there were so many little things that needed changing. And it's still not perfect, at least not in my eyes, but it's a lot better than it was. Well, look, you know, sometimes how things happen for a reason, right? So we weren't planning on refreshing the theme, but now that this forced us into it, it just looks so much better. It's faster. It's more responsive. It's easy on the eyes. I'm really happy with the way that it looks now. Sure, it was 2 days of really challenging work, but it looks really good now. There's still a few issues on mobile, which I'm working on still.
Oh, the little cuts,
but
dating,
I'm hoping those will go away in the next couple of weeks, and if they don't, oh well. It is what it is. But no, please by all means go check out Vamers.com, as in VAM for mom, ERS for sugar.com.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks great.
I'm very happy with it. I think it looks genuinely very good.
I will say it feels like the back end is a little bit quicker as well now.
So I do think that whatever was causing the mess has been removed now, because I've also found how we used to have issues with embedding YouTube videos and posts. In the sense of, if you tried to edit one of those videos, you just couldn't. You had to like delete the block and re-add it. And I find that works perfectly now. So I think whatever code was there before that was messing a lot of things up externally and internally has now been removed. And that's why it's faster, it's quicker, it's better. There's less bloat, I suppose.
Faster, better, harder, faster, more powerful, you know.
This sounds like Fast 9, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it does.
Which actually, I'm happy to report neither of us have watched. Or have you watched it?
Oh.
Have you watched it?
No, I was about to ask. I saw it being added to
I'm not watching that film. Stuff. I'm not watching that film. No. I don't have that.
Listen, I still need to watch F8 before I watch F9. So
no,
I'm
because you're like me. You're like a completionist. You want to watch things even though they're terrible.
Well, I wouldn't know if it's terrible. I did like F7.
No, man, Edward. Okay, well, do you want to know what is actually... Okay, I don't want to say terrible. Let me not say terrible. But we watched like 15 minutes of it and I put it off. Can you guess what it was? It's not in the notes.
15 minutes and then put it off. Did we speak about this before?
No, not yet.
Suicide Squad?
Oh, no, I'm watching that this weekend.
Okay.
No.
I heard it's very good. I
So
just
have I.
assumed.
So that I'm very
Okay.
excited to watch, actually. No, it was Disney's Jungle Cruise. So apparently it's a film that's based on the ride,
The board game or
allegedly.
something.
Yeah, the ride.
Oh, the ride.
So I saw like 15 minutes of it because it stars The Rock and I forgot her name now. Emma. Her husband is John Krasinski. She stars in A Quiet Place.
Oh boy.
Anyway, if you know who I'm talking about, she's
Yeah, I
Emily
do.
Blunt. Emily Blunt. So not Emma.
There we
Emily
go.
Blunt. She's
There we go.
she's an excellent actress, but my gosh, this first 15 minutes of this movie, it's very clear this is for children. And I'm
Yeah,
all
I was
down
about
for
to
that.
say.
I'm happy with that. I was hoping it might have been a little bit different, but it is very much a children's movie, and in that respect, it's pretty good. But if you're an adult looking to enjoy a movie, I would say just skip it. It's really not like the first 15 minutes just put me off. I was like, this is not for me. This is like a Disney Channel, specifically for kids that like, that very campy humor, it's like really obvious what's going to happen. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't even planning on speaking about it, but hey, this is the new Gettle, right?
I guess.
Wherever it
The
leads
thing
us.
is- The thing is, when it comes to The Rock, basically all of his movies are just average at best.
Well, I mean, look, he
like
himself
as
is a
good as the
great
guy
actor,
is.
Yeah.
Yes. His movies, or rather his choice of movies, is just so.
No. Do you know
Middle
what
of
his
the
choice of
road.
movies are?
What?
Money.
That's
See,
fair.
He's always in like blockbuster hits. So, I think
Yes.
that does really well for his star power, Like if he's big with, because like he was always really well known for WWE, all right?
Yes.
And in recent years, he's been making his own waves in Hollywood. And so by consistently appealing to a younger demographic, it means that he's always front and center of being in everyone's mind's eye. And as a result, it means that his star ranking goes up because he's always been spoken about, therefore he's desirable, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone want to see the guy. So
At least that's
Okay.
how it feels,
yeah,
That's
very, very true. Actually,
Look, there were actually one documentary and 2 movies that I did watch and that I was going to speak about in Gettle. Can we just go through them quickly? I mean, we're speaking about movies now anyway.
yeah. No, we might as well.
I'm sure those of you long-time listeners are like, where be the segues though?
Listen, this is a conversation now. Okay, we don't care about
this
segues
is the
anymore.
thing. This is what I want, and look how natural it's been thus far.
Exactly.
So look,
That's fine.
we'll see how it goes. Look, I do want to speak about this one in particular. It's Blood Red Sky on Netflix.
Yeah.
It is a terrible movie. But it's such a fresh take on the vampire genre. Because this is not, I mean, you kind of gather that something is wrong with this lady, but you don't really imagine that it's a vampire until like halfway
Okay.
through the film where they eventually reveal what she is. And
Okay.
essentially what they've done is they've taken like a hijacking film movie and they've placed it into a vampire origin story. And it's like the premise is very cool. And the main actress who goes by the name of Perry Baumeister she's excellent in the role. It even has Dominic Perel from Prison Break. He's one of the main antagonists in the film because the film, the plane gets hijacked, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's a cool origin story, but my gosh, is the acting bad.
Listen, as much as I like Dominic Purcell, I don't think his acting is up to snuff.
No, look,
Like-
this film, it's clear this is this is a B-rated movie. This is
Yeah.
the CGI is terrible. You can obviously see that it's like a fake airplane flying and stuff like that. Admittedly, the prosthetics, the facial prosthetics are not bad. I mean, they're not amazing either, but they're not bad. And the whole way of how like the vampire like twist happens, like that's cool. But it's so filled with cliches and stereotypes. It's a bit like, they could have done so much more with it, and that kind of ruins it. And oh my gosh, listen, please. I know it's tough to find child actors, but at the very least, get ones that can act. Because this lady's kid is just awful in this film.
But how would you know they're good if they haven't acted in anything?
No, you give them a shot. You make them act in front of you. You see how it goes. This kid, like, it was too much of mama, and it was just like fake. Like you could there was even one scene where it was supposed to be all dramatic and he was smiling in it. And I'm like, what is this? What is happening? Anyway.
So basically, in my head, I'm picturing this kid who's fake crying and then looking at the camera to see if he was well enough, and then crying again.
Thing is, he can't cry. It was just the pulling of the face and no tears, as like part of it. Anyway. Blood Red Sky, it's on Netflix, distinctly average, bounding on disappointing. Watch it if you really have nothing else to do, but it's a cool spin on the vampire story. I just wish it was better overall. Now, as we were talking about children, weirdly enough, the other two things that I want to talk about are both children related. Actually, there's another thing that's also child related, but I suppose this is the theme for this episode, which was not really.
I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole thing. Now, this is something I actually want to discuss with you a bit more because I think this was fascinating. It's this documentary. It's called 3 Identical Strangers, and it's all about. Well, initially, the documentary itself is focused on these triplet boys who were each separated at birth, each going to a different family, and then years later, about 19, 20 years later, realizing that they have brothers and they're part of a triplet gang. Now, you watch this and you think to yourself, how? How is this possible? Why? How like who would split up triplets? And the story is incredibly fascinating because it eventually has this science twist midway through where all of a sudden it comes out that it was this famous Jewish doctor in America who had an idea to put the debate of nurture versus nature to test. So he was of the opinion that what he was going to do was going to revolutionize science, and he would be able to put that debate to rest. And in so doing, what he did, and it eventually came out as being known as the twin studies. So there's an unknown number of twins and triplets that were affected by this. And now understand, we're not talking about babies being taken from families, okay? These were unwanted children. I know that's a terrible term because, sometimes people want to have children, but they just can't afford them, so they give them up for adoption for a better life. But we're just going to go with that term for ease of discussion. So it's this particular adoption agency in New York City. And what happens is this researcher realized that there was an opportunity, and that opportunity was to see by taking identical children and splitting them up and then determining how similar or different they are in their upbringings. So therefore, definitely looking at the nurture, therefore being the environments through the parents, and the nature, how much of the genetics entail how different they become or how similar they become. And it's a riveting story because it turns out the records from this massive experiment are sealed until 2066. So no one has access to them, and they're at Yale University in America. And allegedly, people who have found a little bit more information about it have uncovered that there are some very high-profile organizations and people that funded the research. So I'm
Oh.
assuming that 2066, from what we can gather, was the date that was proposed for the files to only come out, because by then most of the participants would have passed away. Because the kids that were taken were during, I stand to be corrected, but I think it was 1940, no, it's 19, yeah, the 1950s and the 1980s. So it was like a 20, 30 year margin. And what they did is they actually followed up all these children, and it gets it. And just when you think it doesn't get any more complicated, it turns out that what the researcher did, or part of the design of the study, was to actually look at parenting styles and how nurture can influence nature. And he did that, and this is where it gets so crazy and like, what the hell, is that they had already placed children in families, all girls, about 6 of them, and then followed up with those families to see if they'd be interested in adopting other children. And then that's when they would split up the triplets and the twins. By doing it this way, they knew what the parenting styles were like, because they already had children with these parents and they were being psychoanalyzed.
Jeez.
It's insane. It's insane. It's vehemently unethical. All right.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like 2066 would probably be around the statute of limitations, wouldn't it? When all of these big companies aren't liable anymore.
I don't know about that. I personally just think that the participants would be dead by then.
Maybe.
Because remember, we were talking about them being about in their 50s in 2019. So even 40 then, extra years later, they might be alive, or maybe they'd be about 100. You know,
I think it's a backer thing as well, because all of these companies they put, and it sounds like an orphan black kind of thing. Like,
right,
this is
right,
heavy,
right.
Shit.
Except of course that was cloning in that. In this scenario, it's not. It's all about.
Natural,
nurture versus nature,
economics.
and what's really sad about the whole documentary is that they talk about these 3 brothers, these triplets, and unfortunately, one of them does commit suicide, and that's when other like professionals start talking, and they start talking about how, you know, it was clear that the one's home life was different to the others, and therefore, but then there's even more to that. Then it was revealed that the parents of these kids already had issues, whether it was anxiety or depression or bipolar or whatever the case is, and they were purposely selected.
See,
do you see what I mean?
I was about to say that the question then becomes: have they been selected because of those issues? And look, it's all a science experiment.
Well, this is the thing. Now we'll only. I mean, how old are we going to be, Ed? In 66, that's like 40 years from now.
We're going to be
ancient. We're going to be
in the 70s.
In our 70s, when this finally comes out, and hopefully we'll know it. Will we be doing Gettle by then? I don't know. But follow us on our Brain 6000 chips that will output our thoughts into. Assuming there's even a world by then, right? Otherwise, it'll just be a desolate wasteland.
There might be the anti-vax war, okay, the V war, as it's dubbed in the future, but we will be broadcasting via a small wave radio. Okay, even then we'll have our kettle.
Well, we do know that the billionaires are going to space, and we've actually already spoken about that in a previous episode. Well, that leads me on to Colony, another film that I watched, which actually takes that exact premise of the rich leaving Earth to colonize Kepler. You know, the planet that we've heard of. I think it's Kepler 209 or whatever the case is.
So
the premise of the film is that the rich have left Earth to go somewhere else. But now, I think 100 years have passed or whatever the case is, and they get sort of senses from Earth that Earth is starting to recover slowly, because Earth was decimated, you know, that nothing was living there anymore, and the radiation and blah, blah, blah. But as it so happens, Kepler is not the ideal location that everybody thought that it was. For a start, there's so much radiation there that the human race cannot reproduce. So the missions that were sent to Kepler are basically stranded there and they cannot reproduce. And so their time is naturally running out. Anyway, so majority of the human race then decides to find out if Earth is still viable because one probe said that it was. And that's how the whole story goes. And you follow this one lady and her team, and they unfortunately crash on Earth because it was a malfunction. And then they get kidnapped by local Earth people who are now savage. And
Okay.
the story is compelling. Much like a lot of the stories and narratives we speak about, they're generally compelling. But man, is this a bad movie. It's just dumb thing after dumb thing that happens. And you're just like, it's nonsensical. That's the easiest way for me to describe it. I mean, like, you mean to tell me that people from Kepler 209 or whatever that were so far away had no idea that there were human beings still alive on Earth after all this time?
They probably had an idea. They just
there's just so many, like, it's long and it's predictable, and things like her father's still alive even though they told her he was dead, and these typical stupid sci-fi tropes. I think the best way to sum it up, and I thought this was hilarious, is that in one scene they had a PSVR sitting in the background. Ideally, I'm assuming as if to say that that's like a relic from the past. I laughed out loud when I saw it, because I was just like, it's pretty obvious this movie was on a budget and that's what they had, and they threw it in the background to make it look like the past.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Okay.
It does star from Game of Thrones. He was the
Ian Glenn.
Daenerys. Is that his name? Daenerys is like, he went all scaly in the end.
Yeah. Ser Jorah.
There we go. Ser Jorah. Yes. So he's like the big bad in the film, and it's really obvious how everything goes and plays down. And I'm just like, I wish I could get that hour and 45 minutes of my life back. So yeah, let's just hope that if there is one day a colony that comes back to Earth, that they're not as stupid or as badly planned as these people.
As this, yeah. Okay.
Just don't watch it. Don't watch it. And also,
I don't think I will.
No, one of the big things of the film was how Jorah, I'm sorry, that's all I can think of his name now.
No, that's fine.
How he was
Everyone
essentially harvesting young women from the populace, from children now, kids, young girls. He was like harvesting, taking them in and teaching them in that, because he knew that the people from Kepler would eventually arrive on Earth, back to Earth. And when you're back on Earth, I don't know, something happens or whatever, and like your reproductive organs kick back into gear. I don't know. They never explain it. And that he was essentially kidnapping these girls from their families, that are on Earth, and prepping them so that when the people from Kepler eventually arrived, they would have mates to repopulate Earth.
Yes,
it's just as disturbing as it sounds.
That's okay.
Yes, Edward. Just as disturbing as it sounds, which leads me on to something that is very disturbing and is a reality. Yeah, and that has to do with Apple. Are you aware of what's going on with their whole photo scanning scandal at the moment?
Well, I don't think it's a scandal so much as it's something that needed to be there from the start.
What? No, what? Okay, hold on. Okay, so what Apple is doing, or what they've mentioned that Apple wants to do, is they are going to use machine learning and onboard AI on the phones, all right, to scan iCloud photo libraries using photo hashes. So every photo has like a unique hash, all right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be comparing it to a crime database for child pornography. So to make sure that, like basically what happens is that, let's say they do these hashes and they look through all your photos and they find one, then whatever photo they find with the same hash then goes through to a real person who then has full access to that photo to determine if it really is related to the database or not. And if it is, they then shut down your account and report to the authorities. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the one part of it. The second part of it is for children, meaning that any child under the age of 18 that uses iCloud, parents will now have a new feature whereby if they send a nude and they're under the age of 13, there'll be a message on the child's phone saying that if you open this, your parents will know and they will see it. So what happens is that image then gets saved into the parent profile so they can show what the child has been viewing. That's if they're under the age of 13. If they're under the age of, I think, 17 or 18, they only get a message, but it doesn't save the image. Now, I understand initially your reaction of this is a good thing, okay? But I personally feel this is a very dangerous precedent to set. Because any backdoor, okay? So, specifically any backdoor within software is bad because it can be misused and misappropriated. And what Apple is technically doing is creating a backdoor, which, in my personal opinion, can be exploited by legislation in different countries. Just imagine, for example, right? So now they're trialing this in the US, okay? Specifically with the crime database to do with child pornography. And you hear that and you're like, that's a good thing. You want to catch these people, okay? Obviously.
Yeah.
But then again, at the same time, why would somebody who dabbles in that be saving their stuff to their iCloud library? Anyway, you'd like to think they're a little bit more tech savvy than that, especially the ones that are in the upper rings that you really want to catch, okay? Anyway.
Every single documentary I've seen shows that these people aren't tech savvy.
Okay.
That they're smart, but not tech savvy.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe perhaps there is reason to this. But more so, imagine now a country like China who is anti-Tibet. What if China was like, okay, Apple, you have this backdoor now. We've seen you put it to good effect. Now you have to judge photos according to this database if you want to continue operating in our country.
We've already seen Apple go up against US authorities and not allowing them access to their backdoors already in place. Why would they now go and allow China to enter those backdoors?
Because this is not the same.
It's exactly the same.
It's not. This is comparing to a database. This is not the same as saying, give us access to every single file on this person's computer or laptop or iCloud backup.
But it's still saying, give us access to your thing.
This is saying, no, they don't get access, remember? They don't get access. This is now China saying, okay, for you to legally operate in our country, you have to, just like you're doing in America to this child pornography database, you have to do this to a dissident database. Meaning that you have to check iCloud photos against this database. And if you rightfully find people that match to this database, you have to let us know.
See, they won't. They simply won't do that.
It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope.
It literally goes against what Apple stands for.
This is already going against what Apple stands for. Because Apple is all about privacy, right? What is on your device is yours and nobody else has access to it. Well, that's not the case anymore. It's not the case anymore. Now, what happens is that, sure, initially, it starts off with a simple hash link, and if the hash is the same, then an alert rises up. But this is the scary part. When that alert raises, Apple has immediate direct access to that photo, and then it gets human reviewed. So therefore, now, just hear me out now, right? Just hear me out. Imagine now, because remember, hashes are not infallible, okay? They can be duplicated. So imagine now a artful, clever hacker out there somewhere in the world, right? They go and they code a simple message that you don't realize has any negative impact. They send it to your phone, and somehow randomly in the background, it changes one of your photos to have that hash. Now, I know that sounds like, how would they do it? But, I'm talking about like some stupid exploit. Like, when people send certain emojis to iPhones and they're crashed, right? So I'm talking about something stupid like that. Or maybe even not stupid. Maybe even just a fun meme. A meme coded with that hash. Then you save that to your iCloud library and, oh, well, guess what? Someone is now human reviewing that because that code's matched. The thing is, if they were really so truthful about security on your phone and that shouldn't even be the case. It should just be, it doesn't matter what you're using, it doesn't matter how you're using it, whatever's on your phone is on your phone, period. Done. Finished.
Even then, I wouldn't equate China asking for Apple to, or rather, I wouldn't equate the Middle East asking Apple to search for gay people's photos, to child abuse and sexual misconduct.
Okay, no, fine. Okay, yeah. Take this one as a scenario, a different scenario. In
Mm-hmm.
South Africa, we now have a lot of new laws, right? There's Popia. There's that other one that came out a while back, which all the content creators were so worried about, right? I've forgotten the name, but
Yeah.
you know which one I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
Imagine now the South African government saying, okay, Apple, we've just had civil unrest in our country. We've now created a new database for, let's call it the civil unrest database, okay? And we've collected all of these images of photos of people who took part in the unrest. Now, we're saying that it's law now for anyone or any company that has the ability to identify people who participated in civil unrest or an attempted coup. In order to operate in our country, you have to do hash checks to people who have iPhones and iCloud libraries to ensure that they're not involved.
How would you do a check for that?
It's exactly the same thing.
No, like this is literally it's using machine learning to recognize child abuse, to see minors being hurt.
That's part of it.
So
but then we're also talking about
check?
It's also a hash checking library. So in this sense, it would be, let's assume the Hawks, which is our special investigative force, managed to get a clean, crisp photo of someone. Of a perpetrator. Then they could hash that and be like, who has this on their phones and why? Do you get what I'm saying? So like let's assume it was a photo of or let's use us as an example, right? Let's say you put a photo of yourself on your Facebook. It's on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Or no, a picture of you with a television that you just got from the rioters or whatever. Now they collect that. They then put that into a database, and then they're like, okay, Apple, tell us if an Apple user's hash matches this. Then Apple,
a guy with a TV.
No. Well, it's you now. Let's say it's you, right?
Yeah.
And it's on your Facebook or whatever the case is, and obviously that came from your phone because that's how you uploaded it, right?
Yeah.
They then check it. Oh, look, there's a hash match. Then what happens is that particular photo from your iCloud library now goes and gets human reviewed. And then they look at it and they can be like, okay, it is this person. Oh, no, it isn't this person. Either way, your privacy is now broken because a human has now reviewed the photo to ensure whether it is child porn or not. Well, in this scenario, you get what I'm saying though. I'm just...
Whether I did steal the TV
Whether you did steal the TV or you didn't steal the TV. It's the same concept. So, look,
but
you see, initially, it seems...
not, though.
But it is. That's exactly what can happen.
No, child pornography is vehemently worse.
Oh, of course. I'm not debating that.
And it's much easier for a machine to recognize, I would think, child porn versus someone holding a TV.
No, facial recognition is far easier, is far more advanced than trying to isolate what pornography could look like.
I don't know. I think people are unnecessarily taking up in arms about this.
It's not that. It's more.
Apple can always say no.
Yes, but you see, this is the thing, though. This is the thing. For a company that has been pushing privacy first for the longest time, they are now breaking that to an extent. Because irrespective of what they're looking for, right? It could be anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what database you're being matched against, right? It doesn't matter. Take that out of the equation, right? The issue here is that the machine learning is the first step, but the second step to verify whether what the machine learning has picked up or not has to go to a human, and therefore your data is no longer private, because it means, like, take an example, right? Let's just do something stupid. You take a picture of a chicken, a chicken that you're preparing to cook, okay? And let's just say somehow randomly the hashes match for whatever reason to whatever database, okay? That image has to then be reviewed. So that means that just because there was the possibility of your picture matching the library, somebody else now has access to it, and that is a breach of privacy.
I'm reading Mark Gurman's post now about it, and it seems like so for those who don't know, Mark Gurman is basically
he's Bloomberg,
a big
Bloomberg's Apple rep.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm reading his post about it now.
Not a rep. He's
the big
journalist,
leaker.
and he reports. Yeah, he's the chief Apple reporter at
and he's essentially saying, he is saying that it seems to be only part of the at least what I'm getting from this. It seems to be part of the child lock features on an iPhone. So if your iPhone isn't set up as a kid's phone, it won't be searched.
No, but that's for the iMessage stuff, not for everything.
Oh, I see.
You see, so there's two aspects to it here. There's the child protection one, which is the whole notifying parents of what is they're sending and receiving. Okay, like to an extent, I agree with that. Like I'm happy to know. Like I would be happy to know if my child was receiving unsolicited pictures. All right. More so because I would then sit with them and tell them that there's nothing wrong with nudity and that it's okay, but it's not right to share it in this way because it can be used in dangerous ways. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? And if they're really interested in that kind of thing, they can use Google or Rule 40. What is it? Rule? I forgot.
Rule 35.
Rule 35. Whatever. I'm going to be very open with my kids. But anyway, that aside. The main issue that I'm talking about, that a lot of people are upset with, which could be misappropriated and misused, is the machine learning identifying photos within an iCloud library. And the scary part with that is now, and this is where they still need to reveal the information, right? Is it only for people who back up to iCloud, or is it on any on-device as long as they're using a photo library? You see? Look, either way, my whole issue with it is that it's setting a dangerous precedent. Because if you can do that for this, and please understand, I'm not saying because it's not an important topic or that it's not an important, it is important. It's important to eradicate this and so on and so forth. But it has been proven time and time again that, first of all, machine learning has a difficult time interpreting sexual misconduct within photos.
So there might be false flags.
But now that's the problem. Those false flags have to be reviewed by a human. That's the whole thing. So that therefore means now, and remember, this all happens in the background. So you have no idea which photos are now being flagged and being sent for human review.
Yeah. Your whole library is
yes. Up. So take this as another example. Just imagine, just randomly, you're a Dan Bilzerian. And you have this, I don't know, awesome penis shot while you're, pumping somebody, and you just flash your credit card in the photo. Now, let's assume that gets picked up for sexual misconduct. That then goes through to someone. But now, what they didn't realize is your credit card information is in the photo. So that's not to say, you see, you get what I'm saying, right? I know that's a precarious situation, and it's a rather unusual one. But the fact of the matter is, if they truly are insistent on privacy, this is a no-go. This is a no-go. This shouldn't be allowed. Because I know that you've argued against, Apple allowing other companies and other places to, misuse the tech. But the fact is, they're making the backdoor, meaning it's there, meaning the possibility exists for people to utilize it. And that is the danger. That is what we need to worry about. More so than anything else. That there is what is scary about the situation.
The thing is, where would you draw a line of keeping your child safe and just keeping your own privacy safe?
Okay, so the child
it's a
the
balance.
The child safety thing I'm all on board for, because my understanding is they're not mutually exclusive, meaning the child safety thing is specifically an onboard machine learning on device only processing feature. So if an image comes through to your child,
only when it's flagged.
No, it's automatic.
Is when the iCloud. Well, no, I mean now in terms of the iCloud photos now.
Yes.
when you get a false, let's say you get a false flag and your photo gets manually viewed,
Yes.
and that's now your privacy up in flames,
Yes, of course.
essentially.
Yeah.
But where would you draw that line of either being safe or allowing this feature?
I don't think it should be
You
allowed at
know?
all. No, but you see,
So
but you see, that's not protecting. Okay, ideally, what I'm assuming they want this feature to do is to catch perpetrators.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the whole thing. That doesn't
course.
necessarily come down to child protection, especially not your child. What I mean by that is, do you know how many parents take pictures of their children naked or in the bath or just playing?
Yeah.
Many.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
course.
wrong with that.
Yes,
but this is now part of the issue. So I know, a lot of my friends are parents, and a lot of them are paranoid about people out there in the world possibly gaining access to their children's photos. A lot of them I know, like very close friends of mine. She actually is on a totally different network. She doesn't post pictures of her children on social platforms because it's easy to get pictures to them. And, people who are into the, pornography, it's terrible, but they then get off on things like that, which is terrible. Really, it's awful. It's awful. And I understand why we would want to do something like this. Okay. But the problem then comes down to the fact that machine learning, first of all, is infallible. Sorry, it's fallible, not infallible. It's fallible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meaning that you could get false positives. So that then means that false positives get flagged and then they have to be peer reviewed. So now you're telling us that it's possible that that innocent images of your children are possibly being flagged and then seen by other human beings. You see, that is such a breach of privacy, especially more so because you're never going to be notified. It just happens automatically. You don't even, as per Apple, it just happens. So, like the whole thing for me is Apple have done really good things in the past, and they've made great strides to keep user data secure. And as you yourself mentioned, they didn't open up the systems for the FBI and so on and so forth. This, on the other hand, is a totally different ballgame. It's a totally different kettle of fish. I am genuinely concerned about this. I've got nothing in my iCloud library that I'm concerned for anybody in my family to see, because it's my personal pictures. It's my friends, my family. There's nothing in there that shouldn't be there, right? But they're mine. I don't want one of my, I'm talking about every single photo I have since 2007 is digital and in my iCloud library. Now, maybe I have a compromised photo in there of myself now, not of somebody else, but of myself. Imagine that getting flagged and then they see it. Now, I'm a very private person. Most people don't get to see me naked, okay? So what? Some random now gets to? That is a huge invasion to me. Now, I know that's speaking from a very personal... But how would
you know anyone ever sees it?
But that's not
how would you know it's ever being
That's not
seen?
the point. That's not the point. Do you get what I'm saying? The fact is, the backdoor exists. That's the problem. That's the scary thing.
But I can turn my iPhone into a bomb. That functionality exists. I'm not afraid that someone is gonna come and hit down my door now,
Yeah, but it's not that. It's just, why is this a capability even there to begin with? You see,
why can my iPhone turn into a bomb to begin with?
No, but that's not the same argument. Turning a physical product into a bomb, that is beyond anybody's control, okay? But choosing where my photos go and who gets to see them, that's in my control, and it should only be in my control.
And choosing where photos of your child goes as well, I guess. What if a guy gets photos of your child, and then that's out of your control, but you want that stopped?
No,
now that can't be stopped.
How am I wanting that
stopped?
That?
No, I mean, if someone goes to the park and takes secret photos of your child, you don't want that happening.
Of course
but
not.
Now
but you
it's
can't
in
stop
their
that.
database.
No, but you can't stop
that.
But
Apple flags it, and this guy gets shut down.
Apple won't flag it because the way that this works is it's only for images that have been found to be within those rings. So it would then have to be a naked picture of my child that they somehow managed to get hold of.
And if they do?
Yeah, but how?
I don't know. What if your child goes missing?
Well, then of course the pictures are going to be everywhere to find them.
Exactly, and then you want this thing. Then
No,
all
not
of a sudden you
necessarily.
want this
No,
feature.
because just that doesn't necessarily mean you'd be able to find them. Because now I mean,
But it gives you an option.
no,
It gives you an extra avenue.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be used for that, Ed. It's not going to be used to try and find children that just randomly go missing. It's specifically going to be to hash photos within a specific database. That's the one thing. And then the second thing is the machine learning for where it goes through your entire database and it looks for what it thinks could be potentially bad, and then lets people human review that. And that's the problem. That's the issue. If it was just hashing, right? If it was only hashing, then maybe I could get on board. I could get on board with that and be like, okay, cool. You're not going to find that in my library unless somebody's coded a funny meme with that hash. And I've now unintentionally saved it into my library. And it doesn't matter if that gets peer reviewed, because only one thing that's getting peer reviewed because it's only matched with the hash. But now if you're talking about machine learning, going through your library with false positives that have to be reviewed by people, that's a no-go. That's
It
not
needs
okay.
to learn, though. How is it going to learn and get better?
It doesn't have to use my photos for that.
It won't use your photos.
Of course it is. That's the whole
I'm
point
sure
of this.
It'll use a control group. Like in America, it's not going to be everyone in America, I believe. I don't know.
Okay, well, we're going to, I guess, you want to argue.
We're going to disagree on this.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, I firmly believe that it's a gross violation of privacy. I don't care if it's just a hash search or a machine algorithm that is looking through photos. The fact that these have to be peer reviewed on some level because the technology itself is not there yet is a gross violation of privacy. And that for me is a huge misstep for the company. And I'm of the opinion that the backdoor can and will be misused in the future if they go through with this.
See, I fundamentally believe it won't be misused because Apple has always said no to companies and governments asking for this kind of access. And I think it's only going to extend to child safety, I believe.
Like I said, if it was just a hash search and nothing else, in other words, they only compare the hashes and that's it. That's the extent of it, and then it stops. Sure. Yes. I can get on board with that. But the fact that they're using machine learning, which then gets peer reviewed by random people in order to determine whether it's valid or not, that's a violation. Sorry. That is non-negotiable for me. Much like the D that you're going to talk about now. like
it's
imagine, okay, you're obviously going to be fine with it, because if I had to tell you that some random stranger is looking at your dick pics, you'd probably tell me that's fine. I'm not fine with that. Okay?
I don't care about some random looking at my dick pics. I care about some random having my child on their phone.
Which they shouldn't in the first place.
There we go.
Yes, I know. But if it's an Android, what are you going to do?
Then I hope Google has something similar in.
I don't know. We're gonna disagree on this one. So it's best.
Yeah.
It's best.
I don't know.
Actually, you know what? Those of you who are listening, let us look. This is a complicated topic. This is not a yes or no answer, because Edward's points are valid. It is valid to say that, that's if you believe the benevolent marketing statement about it, sure, it seems fine. But I'm of the impression that this is going to be, or it can be, misused, because I know human nature. I know what companies are like, and you can say what you want about Apple, but with enough pressure,
it's still a company.
They will bend. It's still a company. Yep.
But even then, we know from past experience that they haven't bent at all.
Yes, but that's not the same thing as I mentioned before. It's one thing to give somebody complete access to everything on your phone. It's another thing to have a single image linked to you that is bad, and then that going through to the authorities for the authorities to pursue. It's different.
It's less.
Not the same thing.
Privacy. If it's a single image,
I'm going to say it's more of a privacy violation, because how many images had to be checked before they got to that one image? And let's assume that there was even an image that could be linked in the first place. So now you've just had somebody randomly look at thousands of your photos because it was an incorrect match.
No, only the hashed photos.
But that's not what it's about, which I've already said.
But it's literally about that at the moment.
It's machine learning and the hashing, Edward. I don't know how you're not getting this. It's both.
Okay, but
you can't
in their
separate them because their implementation is one. It's one thing. It's two,
in
both of them
their
together.
post, they say it has to the hashes. It must meet multiple hashes. It must. I closed the article now, but it said it must match multiple hashes before it goes to manual analysis.
So multiple photos, or just one photo with multiple matched hashes?
One photo, multiple different things. So I believe it's secure enough, in my opinion.
Look,
obviously,
as I have said
your
before,
options are also valid.
As I have said before, if it was only hashes, yes, I'm fine with that, because I know, if you're a law-abiding citizen, other than maybe somebody coding it into a meme, as I've mentioned before, you're most likely going to be okay with it. The bigger issue, as I have mentioned previously as well, is the whole thing of, yes, fine, right now, it's child pornography database in America. But you never know what other databases in other countries are going to come around and be like, you have to match. So I understand.
It's a tightrope.
I understand the benevolent nature of why they want to do it, and I get it. It's good on the surface. I get it. I'm just saying, from the devil's advocate side of things, it's going to open a possible can of worms. That's what I'm saying. That's what
but
I'm saying.
All technologies always do.
But this
we
one,
need to be
look.
Trusting
I suppose
of something.
I suppose that the big reason why I suppose this is so, it's like a big issue for me, is because I'm an Apple user. I'm an Apple user because I do believe in their privacy first policies.
And yes, I get that.
Yes, but this is a violation of that. That's it. Simply put, this is a violation of that. I just hit my mic.
See, but why would it ever be a violation for you if you don't have those kind of pictures anyway?
Because what if I decide to take a nudie photo and then that gets flagged from the machine algorithm, not the hashes, via the machine algorithm, and
because
then it has to be seen.
Uses the hashes. See, okay, so the way I see it, in terms of now the tagging itself, if I take a photo of my child in the bath, I think it is going to get flagged for nude child, I guess. Okay, that's one flag. Okay, that's one hash that's already flagged. But then it's going to move on to a second ring of flags, maybe for blood, for distressed child. So maybe the child isn't having the best time in the bath, is crying. But there's a second flag.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes. Okay.
So I get that.
See, I understand that as well. The issue, though, and you must do a little bit more reading about this, because I did read more about this before we spoke about it.
Yeah.
There are inherent issues with machine learning and deciphering things like that, which is why I mentioned the raw chicken. There have been cases where they use it as an example, whereby fillet cutlets and chicken legs were misconstrued for nude body parts. So
for child body parts,
or a child, it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at then is that, let's assume it goes through those, right? So let's assume you have the most delicious raw chicken with tomato sauce and I don't know, something else, and it looks like a battered child. Now all of a sudden you're getting these hashes that are being approved, and then your seemingly innocent and innocuous photo gets human reviewed. See, that is what I'm saying is the issue here. That, like, the concept sounds good. The issue is that it's flawed. You know?
But
anyway,
in my opinion, we have to be able to sit with a little bit of a flawed technology to improve it.
Well, look, as you said, all technology is flawed, right? That's part and parcel of the situation. But in this sense, my stance is that they're opening a backdoor for exploitation in the future.
Yes, I get that.
That is my whole thing about it, and which is why I am personally worried about this. There's nothing in my photo library. I don't want people to have access to my photo library, first of all, because I feel it's backed up for my personal, so I don't lose anything. So I still believe people shouldn't have access to that unless I've chosen to give them access. Okay, that's a different thing, Anyway, whatever. I guess we'll soon see how it goes, right? It's entering trials in the US when I think iOS 15 drops. So let's see what happens.
So September, I guess.
Yeah, soon. Very soon. Okay, Ed, on to something a little bit more NSFW. And as you'll notice, for those of you who are long-time listeners, no more jingle. Not because we don't love the jingle, but more so because we, as we've mentioned before, the conversational element of it means that we could speak about it at any time. Granted, this just happened to be at the end of the episode, not necessarily in the future. It might be that, but it might be different. And so we'd rather just gonna have an NSFW tag in the notes versus a jingle that goes with it and whatever.
Yeah, if you're listening, you'll know anyway.
Yeah.
I figured to add this one of the two topics I brought forward today. I figured I'd add this one first because it just makes sense following on from the Apple topic, and it concerns dick pics, unsolicited dick pics. Now, I have never been on the receiving end of one of those.
Thankfully, neither have
I hope many of our listeners
and I've never
have
sent one either, so yay me.
I've never sent an unsolicited one. So, a famous photographer by the name of Elizabeth Uber, she's an award-winning photographer, still life specifically. She is in the camp of the heavy anti-dick pic squad. So she's all about the privacy thing, and I guess she'll feel the same way as you do about the whole Apple thing as well, Hans. But what she's did, though, in order to bring some sort of awareness to it all, is recreate still life photos, still life paintings as photos by adding a random dick into the mix.
Okay.
So she called it still dick instead of still life as it stands.
Yeah.
And it's literally a series of photographic recreations where she literally just adds a penis here or there in order to bring up that surreal look and feeling of the photo. And if I say surreal, I mean surreal. It looks so out of place and so out of the ordinary. It's weird. And the reasons she does it to look as weird and uncomfortable as possible, she says it's to recreate the feeling many women, and now she specifically mentions women, I would honestly also feel weird if I get an unsolicited pic. But it's to recreate that feeling of uneasiness many women that are on the receiving end do get when they get unsolicited.
So in other words, you look at the still life and you're like, oh, that's amazing, and you're like, whoa, like
that's a penis. Like, why is that there? Yes. And if you click on the link, I haven't posted a photo for you, but there's a bunch of photos that has penises, both circumcised and uncircumcised, just added in there.
Oh, and I see how she's done.
And many of them look like...
It looks alright.
They look like they would be there from... if the painting was like this from the start, no one would bat an eye. But obviously, I know a few of these paintings, specifically two of them. Orange and the Book from Raphael Peale is one painting that I do love. I used it as a wallpaper for a long time. Raphael Peale. Yeah. Now, she created it with a little penis in there, as well as Still Life with Lemons on a Plate by Vincent van Gogh, which is another
I just had a look at them now,
and I mean, wallpaper.
It's not bad. Yeah,
but it's weird. It's the proportions of the painting is completely thrown off by the added dick pic, by the added dick. And she also did an extra little. It's not really a recreation, but she calls it Dick of God, which is a tribute to Michelangelo's.
Yes.
But by his painting, I forgot what it's called.
Isn't Hand of God?
And that's just two dicks touching.
Yeah,
I guess,
naturally.
Which we've all seen if we've been on that side.
There's a special name for it. I've forgotten now. Isn't it crossing swords or something? No. There's another name. I think we've spoken about this before, where you take two foreskins together. There's a special name.
Oh, we might have.
I'm sure we've spoken about this. I think in the first season.
Yeah, we might have
anyway.
I've completely forgot about that. But yeah, so I thought this is cool to speak about and to link to. It's actually super cool photos, and it's crisp and clear.
It's tasteful. I mean,
it's not bad. It's not like
I think
dicks with sperm everywhere or whatever.
I think I get what she's trying to do, but
Yeah.
this is not the same. Getting an unsolicited pic is not the same as adding. Like, I don't feel this gives the same. It's more
Uneasiness.
like if you really wanted to test this, it would be like, sending unsolicited pics to people, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
know.
That's the only way to recreate that feeling. That's true. But I do think that part of the appeal, I guess, of this movement is how it throws the composition of the original painting out of order.
I suppose.
Like
Perhaps.
like still life with
Yeah.
lemons on a plate. Specifically, it just looks weird with the penis hanging off of the plate.
Okay, so
there.
perhaps that's it. Then. It's taking these beautiful works of art that everybody knows and adding a penis to them to be like, look, see, nobody wanted it there in the first place. Now it's there.
Yes, I think that's what it gets to. So I just thought that'll be cool to talk about. I find it amazing. I'm not going to use these as wallpapers now, but still. And then
Well,
I found,
listen, before you continue, so the very next time somebody discusses fine art with you, you could be like, oh, you mean like this?
Yeah, like,
But
look
then
at this.
you're part of the problem because then you're sending an unsolicited dick pic to someone.
Yes, then I'm literally part of the problem.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not.
Rather be part of the solution. Hey?
There we go.
By adding
just
Rottweilers to whatever profile
to
you
your
have.
Tinder profile. There we go. Yeah, so I don't know how accurate this is and how big the target group was, but it's another study that's been done from at least the people who spoke about it was Tilla.com. It's a publication that has all of these lifestyle stuff. And in this post, they specifically talk about Tinder and how having a dog in your Tinder profile will up your chances of getting that booty at the end of the night. And it turns out that neither of my dogs are included in the list. So if I'm ever single. So they made up a list. Well, they asked participants, and from these participants, they have a list of 10 dogs that would up your chances in ranked order of getting a better date. Now, they asked about 2,080 dating app users and their profiles to get to the list.
That is a big sample size.
That's a big sample size, but again, I'm not sure from where exactly this comes. But it turns out that stuff like the cockapoo, which is the top at the top,
what is
the very top of
even?
the list.
What is a cockapoo?
It's a mixture between a poodle and a cocker spaniel. Not a cocker spaniel.
No.
I forgot the name now, but it's a mixed breed, and they look ugly in my opinion.
Look, I'm already not a big fan of poodles, right? Because they're like the dog that never dies.
Exactly.
They'll be like,
thank you.
They'll have like 3 legs don't work, blind, can't hear, they can barely eat, and that thing will outlive you all. Okay.
Yeah.
It'll just roll around and like on the corner. No, I can't deal with with those.
That's so bad, but it's true.
It is.
Well,
do you know how many of these dogs I have seen? These poodles, they're like literally on death's door for like 10 years, and they still don't die. No.
Well, okay, let me ask you this before you read ahead and look at the list.
Yeah.
What dogs would you have on the list?
A boxer.
Like going from the top.
Let
to
me
the
tell
bottom.
you, if I was Tindering and a prospective lady had a boxer in her photo, I would be all up in that because but the boxer is my favorite dog. I absolutely.
The boxer is an amazing dog.
that's the one.
Yeah. I would think a Yorkshire is very at the very top. Yorkshire Terrier.
Is the boxer even on this list? I'm gonna be very disappointed.
The
if it's not.
boxer isn't on the list.
You know what?
Yorkshire
These
isn't
people,
on the list.
No, whoever did the study doesn't know.
I have no idea.
They don't know what good dogs are.
So going down in terms of how much extra you'll be laid and how less you'll be laid, I guess, is the best terms to come up with. Is the cockapoo, the French bulldog.
What? Cockapoo's number 1?
Yeah, he's number 1.
No, man.
And then it's the French bulldog.
You see, who did this? Okay,
I don't know. Tinder. Someone
I have
from
to
Tinder.
Ask, was it men and women voting?
It's different, just random profiles as far as I know.
Oh,
yes.
a cockapoo? No, men. I can't.
well, a French bulldog I can kind of
No,
understand. I
French
think they're
bulldogs
cute.
I'm down with. They're beautiful and they have the similar
And-
mouth to that boxer. So
Exactly, and then you have the miniature Dachshund,
Okay,
which
that's
is
cute.
not completely a dog that I own because I have a Dachshund,
but it's cute.
Okay.
It's cute.
Then it's the golden retriever, which I also
Okay,
understand.
but the golden retriever is like the vanilla of dogs.
That's it's literally in the middle of the list as well, so I get that. And then it's the English bulldog, which
yeah.
okay, it's a little bit flabby but cool. Then it's a Labrador, which is just less called golden retriever.
Yes, pretty much.
Then it's a
It's
husky.
vanilla with seeds, like with the specks.
yeah. Then you get the husky,
Okay,
which is beautiful.
huskies are beautiful. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if I'm single and I'm looking at your profile and you're posing with your biggest husky
Yeah,
in
that's a
some
win.
way or another,
That's a win.
I'm
yeah.
swiping right on you. Okay. Then it's the Rottweiler.
You
Now
see,
this
I
one,
don't see this.
neither do I. Like Rottweilers are beautiful, but
No, they can eat
to
your
pose
face
with
off,
them in your
man.
Tinder profile.
If I see a
It's-
Rottweiler,
man.
if I see a Rottweiler in the Tinder profile, I know I'm not getting lucky with that dog around. Okay, because they're possessive and it's going to want to eat me every time I'm with its partner.
Yeah, I get that. You're gonna be in a love triangle then, and
It's going to watch
that's
all
not
the time. Anyway,
And then it's the King Charles Spaniel,
Okay.
Charles Spaniel, which I don't. It's a little bit scruffy, but fine. And then you get the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, which is just same as the English Bulldog. They look similar, except the
No,
one
man.
has no fur, and the other one
where's
has a lot of
the
fur.
Great Dane and where is the Boxer and
Thank
where are
you.
the really majestic, beautiful animals?
The Tibetan Mastiff.
It's
Imagine one of those.
Okay, granted, I suppose there are
Gosh.
many. Actually, I'm now dead curious about if they had to do a cat
Yeah.
list.
Actually, I'll look into that.
Okay.
I should. But okay, so it turns out that people who even have something like the French Bulldog and the miniature Dachshund, they are 5 times more prone to get number one matches and obviously go on have successful matches than people who
Wow.
do not have any
So
dogs in the
having a
profiles.
pet in your profile is a
Will
huge
automatically
win.
up your chances. Yes. But also, if you have something like a Chihuahua, your chances will go down of getting matches.
because Chihuahuas are literal demon spawn. Okay.
Yes, they are.
Everybody
They're-
knows.
they're-
Everybody knows that you can't come close to somebody who has a Chihuahua. I know I said that about the Rottweiler earlier, but it's literally the Chihuahua. It's like
Yep.
like eat
There's
your
this
face.
meme of those
No.
two Karens during the Capitol riots with the guns, where they interpose the Chihuahua heads on them.
Yes,
That's a Chihuahua.
That's a Chihuahua.
Yeah.
You see, I get that. I also wouldn't swipe right on somebody with a Chihuahua. I'd be like,
Exactly.
Chihuahua, no, bye, no.
Yeah, bye bye. And yeah,
Listen,
I found
listen.
that amazing.
The
and
the website
if
image
you are single,
that I'm looking at here is
Yeah.
that the Chipoodle? Look, I mean the cockapoo.
that's the cockapoo.
Ugh. Just can't. I can't.
Cockapoo. It's a poodle and a what?
A cocker spaniel.
Oh, there we go. It's yeah, and they're so ugly, man.
Oh gosh.
Like cocker spaniels are beautiful with their long hair. Okay, but no.
Listen, if it doesn't come up to at least
lot of
my
it's
knee,
half-poodle.
I'm not interested. Thanks.
And that's a good way of putting it, actually. So yeah, I know
Oh,
I have 2
man.
tiny dogs.
We don't.
But
do you know how
I'm
much I miss
surprised the
having
Yorkshire
dogs?
isn't
Hey,
there.
we haven't had since the house burnt down. So I mean, don't
Well,
get me
to
wrong.
be fair,
I-
you might get one once.
Well, with
You've
if
moved.
things change, yeah. So I
So-
love Cobalt. Don't get me wrong. He's great, but I am very much a dog person.
Yeah.
They're just more loyal and will love you no matter what, and they listen.
I will say I
listen,
do miss chocolate.
Cats are all like, get out of my face, bitch. You know?
Yeah, like, are you gonna pet me or not?
No, it's more like, I want you to pet me, but please don't. That's a cat.
Yeah.
That's a cat. Okay,
Like,
in a
no.
nutshell. Like Cobalt's been doing this thing where it's like, I want to go out the door, but I don't want to go out the door. I just want the option of being able to go out the door. And if you close the door, I'm going to meow until it stays open. That's literally him. Literally. Doesn't want to go out, doesn't want to come in, wants the option of being able to do it. Just the option.
But he does know that if he just stands by the door, you'll open eventually anyway.
No, so
he shouldn't need to be an asshole about it.
No, what? Excuse me, he's the asshole.
No, not you, him.
Yeah, exactly.
He shouldn't be the asshole.
So like we've just been doing this whole thing. So like now if he goes outside, we just close the window, and now we're like, now you will stay outside until we let you in. Okay.
See, but that's
it's a beautiful day outside. Have you even seen? The cat doesn't care.
It's nice. I have the sun directly on me at the moment.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Okay, Ed. Well, so much.
Yeah.
I was genuinely worried about this episode because we had like zero content, and now it's one of our longest. I'm looking at the timestamp.
Yeah, it's always before we record. Hans is like, we have so little content.
Yes,
no, but to be fair, sometimes I feel that as well.
In all fairness, though, today was such a good conversation, especially the Apple thing.
Time.
And you see,
and the Apple.
That's what I want for us going forward. Is something that we both have, like, I don't want to say opposing views on, but like we you know, it makes for the best discussion, you know?
The thing is, it's one to just have opposing views to just have it, but it's another thing if we both come from a learned background.
Yeah, we
know a lot about Apple. Yeah. We both love Apple, and we both have different views on their new decision to open this back door. And I dig those kinds of talks.
Me too.
They make sense.
Well, let's hope for more of these in the future, hey? Especially for you, our wonderful listeners who have stayed through this entire episode. Let us know what you thought. You know, is this a nice change? Do you like it? Are you happy to hear us maybe debate more in the future versus just talking about stuff in general? You know, because I'm quite a fan of the debating. Not the debating, but like, you know, the heavy discussion.
But just the talk.
Because even when we were speaking about the time travel, it was such a wonderful discussion.
That was half the episode.
Yes. So well, it was actually, if I'm looking at the time now, it was a good third of the episode. So yes, it was a long.
So there we go. Yeah. It was basically time travel, Apple, and NSFW. And dick pics. So there we go.
All right. Well, this is the end of Gettle 68, Season 2, Episode 26. If you joined us, thank you. If you enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Coolio. Cheerio.
Bye.